Hello and welcome to All Doll Love. Today I'm going to be introducing you to each of my dolls and hoping that lets you get to know a little bit more about me too, since a lot of them tend to share interests or hobbies with me. Anyways, I'm going to give a little bit of info on each doll's personality and maybe where, why, or how I got that doll. So, let's get into it. My first doll was Just Like You, number 23. I got her circa 2010 when my parents had a garage sale and they let me take the money they got from that and put that towards getting my very first American Girl doll. They were a mini-me, so they look as much like me as possible, and they basically just have my personality, to be honest. Emily is a bookworm. Emily, like so many first dolls, is the responsible mom, quote unquote, of the group. My second doll, but first named character, is Kaya. A common theme amongst my named dolls is that their personality traits from their original stories tend to hold on, or at least some of their aspirations or other elements of their stories will stay pretty consistent for me. Kaya, for me, she's very much a horse lover, but she's also really sporty, and I really leaned into like her love of nature and just like being outside in the fresh air. But most importantly, she is a horse girl. Just like Kaya, one detail I really honed in on with Felicity is that she was a horse girl. But I also changed up her character maybe more than some of the others. I made her someone that will really advocate for her friends or for other voices that aren't being heard. Though in doing so, I have also made her character someone who will jump to conclusions, maybe a little too fast. But still, I really like what I've done with their story. Next up is Maria, who's a Springfield doll gifted to me by one of my close friends back in elementary school. For me, she's very shy, very quiet. I lean into like her being a bookworm, and notably, because I got another doll for the same birthday, she's a twin. So Maria and Josefina are twins in my doll family. So Josefina, she's a big dreamer and she gets very passionate about the things she cares about, and she really loves animals. In my collection, Kit used to be a really big girly girl, and that I believe is actually because I used to watch a lot of AG Overseas Fan as a kid, and she had a blonde doll with short hair who is a big girly girl. I want to say her name was Poppy or something like that. But so I kind of mirrored that in my own play. And I believe that's why my Josefina also has short hair, just like AG Smiles' Josie doll did. So just a fun little fact about my both Kit and Josefina dolls. But my Kit doll is a writer, but more than just journalism, she'll write anything. She loves all different types of writing. Similar to Maria and Josefina from earlier, Grace is a doll who I gave sisters in my collection. She's the younger sister to my first doll, Emily, and I believe this just originated from them both having brown hair. And you'll see their youngest sister is going to show up in just a couple dolls from now. Yeah, that's just a little bit more lore about my dolls. But Grace, just like in her stories, she loves to cook and she also loves to bake. But I've also made my Grace quite a bit of a people pleaser. She'll do anything to make her friends and family and even strangers happy. Liv is another Springfield doll. In my collection, they're siblings with Felicity. Liv is also very sporty and quite a bit of a loner. They will play team sports, but they keep to themselves mostly. Yeah, that's a little bit about Liv. Emma is the doll I mentioned before, who's the younger sister to Grace and Emily. Emma is a dancer, and she tends to lose herself in choreographing and dancing, and she can neglect her other responsibilities or her family and friends when she gets too into the piece she's working on. Next up is Rebecca, who's actually the last American Girl doll I got as a child. In my collection, Rebecca loves her family, and she aspires to find stardom through being an actress. Lily is the one and only Our Generation doll in my collection. They started out as my younger siblings' lookalike doll that they got when I got my Emily doll. And Lily loves all animals, but especially horses. And that is something that's very much pulled through from my younger siblings' personality. The next doll in my collection is Eleanor, and I believe she's a brass key doll. I ended up naming her after the doll from the book Doll Bones by Holly Black. Eleanor is a very family-oriented girl, and she loves sewing, knitting, crochet, all of those things that you would think of as like grandma hobbies. Those are what Eleanor loves. She loves anything she can do where she can make something tangible and like a physical representation of what she's imagining, especially if it's something that will be useful to her or that she can give as a gift to friends or family. Sam is the first in a trend of me getting my younger siblings dolls. Uh, my younger siblings' American Girl dolls, that is, because I got the Our Generation doll earlier. But Sam is the first American Girl doll that they passed on to me. Later, we'll see the rest of them, but Sam was given before those dolls. Sam is very outspoken. They push against any rules that they find unfair. Additionally, something I've pulled into Sam's character is that they're an artist and that they're very creative with what they like to put into the world. Aubrey is the one doll in my collection that I actually have no idea what type of doll they are. The body of her isn't the same as like as other 18-inch dolls. In terms of her personality, Aubrey is very much a reporter in my doll collection. So she's interested in following the story. Additionally, I got her at a garage sale when I was like pretty much out of collecting, but like not fully. So I picked up both Aubrey and my next doll, Kitty, at the same garage sale. And so in my collection, I consider them to be adopted sisters. Kitty is an absolute fashionista to her core. You will always find her in just the best outfits. And she's also interested in historical costuming and knowing what specifically women have worn in decades past. With that, she also makes some of her own garments, especially when she's trying to replicate a historical trend or fashion. Beginning with Nikki, the next few dolls are all ones that I got at once when my younger sibling decided they didn't want any more of their dolls. So in my collection, Nikki is very kind-hearted. Nikki has a tendency of overcommitting, though she can get herself out of sticky situations through her quick thinking. Something that I pulled from her original story, but I've changed up a bit, is that in my doll world, Nikki uses a service dog, and this is something I'm still working on fleshing out since I haven't figured out exactly what for. And I think I should reread Nikki's books to see if there are more details on like what they're training for, see if I can like pull something else from her story. But I wanted to change it up a bit and make it so she's the one who's benefiting, or like she needs the service. Sage also started out as a doll in my younger siblings' collection. For me, Sage is very outspoken. She's an artist. She also cares a lot about other people and animals and will do anything to advocate for their rights. As a piece of that, she's also really interested in history and the historical development of the rights of different groups. My Leah doll is a photographer. They'll often get pulled along by Kit or Aubrey to take photos of whatever they're writing about, though what Leah really prefers is nature photography. They also love backpacking and taking friends trips out into the wilderness. Elle is very impulsive. They're also a bit of a natural leader in that other people will see what they're doing and they just follow. They have just a natural aura about herself. Lends itself to leadership. Elle really wants to be a world traveler and see everything there is to see. Something from the Mary Ellen stories that I do want to pull into her character is I want to get her some sort of walking aid, since that's something I think should have been focused on more in what was created for the doll. Summer is the last of my younger siblings' dolls that I got. She's number 61. I named her last summer, actually just like a couple months before Summer McKinney was announced. And at the time, I like regretted naming her Summer. I was like, no, now she shares a name with another character. But upon like further reflection, I don't mind it as much, since Summer McKinney is never a doll that like I can foresee having in my collection. So it's okay that I have this other doll named Summer. Anyways, a little about Summer. She's an inventor who can think on her feet and fulfill the creation of different ideas that she has. She's also on her school's robotics team, and that's like one of her favorite hobbies. The next doll up is the first one I got once I was back into collecting, and the first doll I got after starting my AGIG account. Marie Grace was a gift from my partner for our anniversary, and I'm really grateful to have them in my collection. For me, Marie Grace is a loner and pretty shy, though once they're around people who they know better, then they can get pretty chaotic and adventurous. Caroline is a doll I got from my best friend, because they were getting rid of their childhood collection and they let me buy Caroline from them for an extremely cheap price. In my collection, Caroline is very adventurous, and she can often be fairly absent-minded and lose track of time. I got Noah from the same friend's childhood collection, which is why I've deemed Noah and Caroline to be siblings. Noah is just like you, number 22, from the era where they came with the pink shirts, with the little gray skirts and the brown boots. Noah was my friend's childhood look-alike doll, so they didn't really want to part with her fully, which is why they came over to my collection. Noah's very creative and has a musical ear as well as a natural talent for photography. McKenna is my most recent doll. She's the first doll since getting back into collecting that I've gotten basically new. I got her second hand, but she came with her box, and even though she was out of it, it seemed like she had only been taken out like maybe a couple times. McKenna is very optimistic. McKenna is very optimistic, and additionally, she's a poet and a fashion designer. We've come to the end of this video. Those were all of the dolls that I have as of the summer of 2025. I hope you enjoyed watching, and that you stick around for any future videos I may make. Also, with that, if you have any ideas for the types of videos you would like to see from me, please let me know so I know what y'all are interested in that I can start making. I have several ideas, but I've got to figure out how to execute a lot of them, since making this is going to be my first time editing a video. So we'll see how that goes for me. Alright, have a lovely day.